never around. I know your secretive ways. You can hide without making a sound to keep the specters away. You're never willing to fight. You'd rather just run away. I know it's tempting, so try going on a holiday, 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 a holiday, 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 a holiday, 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 a holiday, hear your voice and it shatters my spine. I thought you'd be far away. You're such a mess, but it's super alright. You've got a home anyway. You're never willing to fight. Rather just run away. I know it's tempting, so try going on a holiday.
Anxious to know who this man is, the one who called himself Dial.
Molo360 podcast, and I'm here with Skeleton Lipstick. I don't know, can everyone hear us?
Oh, should I be talking now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like using one screen right now, so I'm like, I usually normally have two monitors, so I'm gonna be looking down for just a second. Okay, perfect. Okay, so, first and foremost, I want to ask, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, my name is Skeleton Lipstick, aka Christopher Smith. I am a maxillofacial surgeon by profession, an artist by, birth, identity, existence, like all of us. That's so fucking pretentious. Anyway, but also I am a vaporwave, hypnagogic pop producer, artist, and a DJ and promoter located in Philadelphia.
Awesome. Yeah, and you're in charge of Terminally Chill, and I wanted to ask you about what are those beginnings? Like, how did you figure out you wanted to do this?
How did I figure out I wanted to do this? Okay, so with Terminally Chill, so I've been obviously involved with the vaporwave scene for a long time, since before it even had a name, and I am in love with the scene. I'm in love with the artists. I'm in love with the experimentation and the blending of styles and the ideas, and also the sense of community that's been created and the network that's been created of artists and labels, and now even touring spaces and visualists, et cetera, et cetera. And so in my head, I love this ecosystem very much. How am I going to continue to push it forward into another arm? Because part of being in a music community and fostering a music community is figuring out ways to continue to expand it out so it can continue to be self-sustaining, so it can continue to have more influence. And the dance party world seemed like a really, really, really good arm to extend the scene into. And so the question becomes, well, you look at this music, you look at a lot of the future funk artists, you look a lot of at the vapor funk artists, or the vapor pop artists, or the hypnagogic artists. There's so much stuff that is amenable to a dance floor, and so the thing is, how do we get it out there? I think this is, I came with the idea this was a good idea to push it forward. It'll help promote everything, help promote the scene. And so I started going out to dance parties. I started hanging out at different types of dance parties, all the different hipster dance parties in the city, because obviously this is going to be something that we'll be able to capitalize in that world.
I love hipster.
Well, so there was already like indie dance rock parties, there's techno parties, there's even like emo parties, there's goth parties.
Emos, goths, alternative.
So the thing is, like, if these genres have pushed out into the dance floors and host nights, vaporwave should too. So I started going to all the parties. I started meeting the DJs, networking, meeting the staff at these bars, meeting the regulars at the bars, just getting to know everybody and making friends with regulars and showing up at their parties. The same way in like anything, you kind of want to make yourself known in the vaporwave world. Oh, I don't know. You kind of start like supporting artists that you like, or that you want to be like, or you go to the live streams, or you know what I mean. You buy the albums, you comment. So it's the same thing with anything else in life. You go to the you go to the DJs' nights that they host to meet the promoters, and then eventually, I taught myself to DJ because I always wanted to do that anyway. So I had this vaporwave dance party, so I taught myself to DJ. And I was friends with the owner of this club in Philadelphia, this pretty notorious hipster club in Philadelphia called the Barbary. And I just approached him. I said, I can DJ. And so I proposed some other dance parties first, and worked on those to build up a little bit of a following, and to also prove that I could promote an event and get an event going and bring people in. And I did, and then I did a few other nights. And once those went a little bit well, I could now go to the owner and be like, so I have another idea for a dance party. And at this point, they're not going to question you quite as much because you've done some other more traditional dance parties. You've shown that you can promote, and you've shown that you can DJ, you can create a vibe. So now they're like, oh, I'll give you a shot. What's your idea? And then you're like, it's a vaporwave dance party. And they're like, what is that? And then you try and explain things to them like, well, just think about music that's, music from a future promised by a past that never existed. And they're like, what? And they're like, no, it'll be really good. I put together a little, like a visual, like video on my phone and with a montage of vaporwave clips with some music going together. And I remember showing it to the guy who owned the Barbary, and he was like, oh, I don't exactly know what this is, but you seem like you do. You seem really excited about it, and I'm kind of excited about it too now. So he's like, go ahead. So, and like he was going to give me, the Barbary is 2 floors. The top floor is a little bit smaller than the bottom floor, and I was originally scheduled just on like the top floor of the Barbary. There was another DJ there named Gina, who's an outstanding, very cool DJ in Philadelphia who does some excellent goth nights, and she was sort of aware of what vaporwave is, and she's the manager of the Barbary. So like she's like, we're putting you on the first floor, and I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, I've ever DJed like really popular parties when I've been on the first floor, and like this is a new thing. And but she knew this was a cool thing too, or she at least had a little bit more faith than maybe the owner did, and maybe even I did. I wasn't sure how it was going to go either. And put me on the first floor, and then I started the first one. The first Terminally Chill I did was with George Clanton, and I remember I had gotten the vaporwave party approved, the idea approved, and I was like, "What am I going to throw it?" And then I'm like, I had already knew in the back of my head, like I know what I'm going to throw it. Like George is touring, and he's going to be in Philadelphia on Thursday, and I'm gonna see if after he's done the show, if he might just swing on by his old buddy Chris's party and come to do a DJ set. So I messaged George, I messaged George. I texted George, about like a week before he was coming to Philadelphia, and I'm like, "Hey, you have any interest in DJing this vaporwave dance party that I'm throwing?" And he's like, "Vaporwave dance party, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, man, absolutely." Like, I got, I'm a resident DJ at this club now. They gave me the venue. I get to do whatever I want. Like, it was like a little bit of a cover, and we make a percentage of the drink, so I can pay you too. So, I know how hard it is. It's really hard to be a traveling musician. It's, God bless George for that's like his whole living, and God bless that man. And he does an amazing job at what he does, better than anyone else I've ever met.
Do you think he got the idea of Electronicon from you?
Oh no, but I'll get to that in a moment.
Like an idea, yeah.
I'll get to that. I do have some things. Yeah, I'll get to that. So anyway, George, George, I'm like, yeah, come on, man. And like, he's like, okay. It's like, you can crash at my place when you're done. It's fine. And so, George's like, yeah, man, absolutely. Let me come buy this thing. And so George, after his show, stopped in, and like he had his little, his blue USB stick full of music he was going to play. And he walks into Terminally Chill, and it's packed, and there's people dancing, and everyone's going to a good time. It was a huge success, a wild success. The first one, wild success with like very little promotion from me at the time because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And George came in and he's like, "Man, all I have is like lounge music. I thought this was going to be like a low key thing with like a few people in like a loft or some shit, like this little tiny." I thought it was going to be so much smaller. He's like, "I bought very medium tempo music, Chris."
Oh my God.
I'm like, "It's fine. Come on up here." I'm like, "George, whatever it is, no problem." I'm like, "George, whatever you got, it's no problem." He's like, "Okay, great." And he also looks at me and George's like, "Also, I don't know how to DJ."
Wait, what? Wait.
No, he didn't know how to DJ. He told me that. I'm like, "Oh, great." So I'm like, "All right, let's start." And I guide him through. George is a fast learner, does excellent. Did excellent.
I can tell.
And Lindsay was there too, and she came up and did a set as well a little bit. And this was all for the first Terminally Chill, and yeah.
I remember
also with great.
I remember you helping Lindsay with her DJ set at Econ 1.
Oh, it was more the only thing I was really helping her with was she was using my my controller. So she wasn't terribly familiar with it. I was literally just showing Lindsay's an excellent DJ, and I was literally just showing her what to do. If I was doing anything with Lindsay at all, it was just calming her nerves because there was a lot of people who were playing straight vaporwave or future funk DJ sets, and she's just like, "I'm not going to be playing straight vaporwave," and I'm like, "No, it's okay. You can do that, and you will be playing vaporwave because it was interpreted. This is the music that inspires you, and it's being DJed by you, so it's still kind of vaporwave because it's it's what makes you who you are. It's just the stuff that speaks to you. If you don't have any of that vaporwave in there, it's still going to translate to everybody, and so." That's about it. But there's a funny thing back to the first Terminally Chill really quick. There's a really great photo from that night where I'm DJing and George is looking at his phone and smiling because that's the very moment, it was midnight, and that's the very moment that Slide was released. And so he was very excited and relieved to see Slide finally get released. All right.
How long have you known George?
9 years, 10 years, I guess, something like that. Since the beginning,
I know you also know Luxury.
Oh gosh,
from, the
absolutely.
Very beginning, before Luxury.
Yeah. Luxury Elite is the absolute very best taste in everything. Most supportive person, kindest person, most just so creative and imaginative with the way that she puts together her albums and pieces together these little puzzles to create a narrative that just is expansive and personal at the same time. Man, it's really crazy that I just am in shock that someone like Lux exists because she's just so positive. There's never any time when you have a experience with Lux and that you don't just come away just feeling, I don't know, just really great. So I've known her for a while. So I know Lux from even before Lux was making music, actually, because I know I met her because she was a person who was a big fan of Airlines and Airlines Records and some other different hypnagogic pop and early vaporwave stuff that a lot of us were hovering around, and everyone just kind of got to know each other through the comments in different Facebook groups and I don't know, just some like blogs and etc. That hosted some things, and I just met Lux through that. She told me she really liked Skeleton Lipstick, and then eventually she just started to revealed herself to be this brilliant artist. You know, it was awesome. It's the coolest thing ever.
Brilliant. Like one of the staples to like vaporwave. That is so cool. I was actually gonna ask you that question, but you already just like, wow. Okay, so how do you guys work together? Like, I know you guys have this album out, Lipstick Elite. How did you guys create that? And like, how was the work process? Yeah.
Lux is the one who collected all these songs. Lux is the one who put together the Vaporwave Echo Jams. And, you know, it's her who created these textures. It's her who created these feels for the songs initially, right? You know, you take a song, you know, you take these pop songs or the obscure Italo disco songs, and you break them down into this haunting combination of memory and fear, and also, you know, relief and and comfort. And that's how you make these. That's what these luxury elite songs feel to me. And I took them and I took the Vaporwave song, broke it down, and built it into a new pop song. And so, you know, that's basically the way it worked, is that, you know, she made the songs, and I took the songs and made a new song. And just, you know, it just all the songs that I wrote with them were basically infused with the energy of Luxury Elite, because they're Luxury Elite songs. And also infused with our friendship in general. Yeah.
So, like,
It's a Frankenstein of reconstruction of deconstructed songs. Lux nailed it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And, you know, it's really great because there's just a lot of mutual, you know, respect, appreciation, and really care between me and Lux. You know, a lot of respect for each other's musical tastes and processes and sensibilities. So it just makes it really easy to take something that someone else made and then show it back to them and then like it.
Can we expect like more from both of you?
Maybe one day.
That'd be awesome. I mean, oh, no, probably not. I was gonna ask, would Lux and you like perform live together? Maybe?
Oh, you might have to. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I'll take a maybe. So you started out with ska music, right? Is that
man.
correct?
No. I started. So the first night I DJ'd was a ska night. Now it's true.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Okay.
there's a brief period for everybody around my age range who, when they were 14, there was a ska phase. But I wouldn't really say I started off in ska. R23X might have something different to say about that. I actually do believe he did start off in ska. Now, but the first DJ night I DJ'd was a ska night, because it was like, you know, it was, I don't know, a year or two ago, and I had the idea that at least for one night you could sell the novelty to people. This is my first DJ gig ever. Was like, for one night I could sell the novelty of a ska night, and maybe people go, I mean, you never go more than once, but maybe people be like, a ska night? I haven't seen that in fucking ever, or at least like 8 years. And so, you know, I did throw a ska party, and it was a success. You know, it really was a big success, and it was like based on the fact that I had a successful party. You know, no matter what way I need to get to it, I was able to convince people to give me more opportunities to do other DJness. That ska night actually went on for a year and a half, though. Like, I actually did DJ. Like, it kept going long after I didn't want to really do it anymore. I actually got a co-DJ eventually, so I didn't have to do it as often. And I love ska. Hold on, let's also talk right now. I love ska. I just didn't want to be known as the ska guy, because I thought there was more I had to offer, and I was trying to eventually get to the vaporwave party. You know, I love ska. Just I don't want to say I still love ska. I didn't come from it. It's not the only thing that defines me. But all right, let's move forward. All right.
Your music,
I'm
Skeleton
joking.
Lipstick, your alias Skeleton Lipstick defines you as being like awesome. Not ska.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all right. It can be both. Anyway, let's
Yeah.
go.
Speaking
All right,
of
what's the next
R23X,
Oh, okay, yeah.
I did a song with him. I'll
Uh-huh.
still dream about you,
Yes.
which is awesome. I love it. How was working with him? I just want to know like how you work with these people and stuff.
It seems to be that I take that they do their process and then give it to me, and then after they're done their process, I completely just like chop it up and do something completely different. Because R23X with the same thing with R23X was that is actually the music used in that song is from another R23X song called originally called insert coin, and so this is the textures from that he used for that song, insert coin, and then I was given them, I took them, and then I made some sort of bassy hypnagogic bass song out of it, yeah, with like little sort of future bassy build-ups and stuff.
Yeah,
and then he got it. He's like, I don't really know if this is a collab anymore. I'm pretty sure I'm featured on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I
so yeah, that's
R23X in it.
It is. It's completely R23X, and it's us talking the whole time. It's just that I don't know how other people. I don't know. Like, how do other people collab? Apparently, with me, people do their work. and then I get their work, and then I do my work. And then I show it. I give it back to them when it's done. By the time I give it back to R23X, I had it. Now I'd already had it. I had the textures from his song, and then I got it, and then I added a billion other things to it. Put vocals on it. Got it mastered by Lee, my buddy Lee from Hawaii '94. Got Sega, who's in the chat right now. Hey Sega, to do the portrait of both of us, right? To do the portrait of both of us. And then I got Vaporwave Susie, or SVCCY, maybe you know them on Instagram, they're a great 3D artist, to create the bedroom to put Sega's artwork on. And then that's like, I sent that all back to Mark. And like Mark got it back, like everything's completely done now. I think I'm honestly, I think it's I appreciate these people letting me do so much.
Yeah, I love your singing.
I don't know how to collaborate. I don't know. I've never actually done like a collaboration where it's just like we're talking. I'd like to try that at some point. Anyway, what's the next question?
I was just gonna like compliment you on your singing and all that. Like, did you always like want to be a singer?
No, I only began singing because I didn't have anybody else who could do it, and because I was making all the music myself, and I was doing it all, putting it all together, and I honestly enjoyed having a lot of control over everything that goes into the music. So I just was like, well, you're gonna have to sing. Like, if you want to do vocals in your songs, you're gonna be the one who has to do them.
Yeah. But
that was great because it led to a lot of experimentation with how to do vocals, how to process them. I'm not the greatest singer in the world, so what am I going to do to work with my voice? How am I going to make that more interesting? What can I? And that kind of just leads you to the world of textures that is so, ubiquitous in vaporwave and playing with textures, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. See, I don't know how to sing, and maybe I could.
Maybe you could. It was literally, how great a singer is John Lennon, he's good, but he's not singing operatic, opera arias. He's doing pop music and singing melodies. And so, yeah, sure. You can do anything. You can do anything.
Yeah, true. You can do anything you put your mind to. So
kinda sometimes.
Yeah. If not vaporwave, what would you say your music is like?
Wow, what did I say my music is like if it's not vaporwave?
Yeah.
Man, I'm in vaporwave because I can't say what my music is like.
Oh, really?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like, especially for a lot of us original vaporwave people, like vaporwave is invented because everybody was listening to so many different fucking things. I can't, the one thing I can say in common with like everybody who started in the vaporwave scene right away, it was we'd already been looking at all kinds of versions of subculture music, from 1977 onward, whether it would be like punk music, no wave music, techno music, house music, EDM, dubstep, early dubstep, ska, different types of shoegaze music, experimental music, synthesizer-based music, everything from like Tangerine to Boards of Canada to Emeralds to Daft Punk, to Milo, to every kind of maverick artist, the Avalanches, to all the maverick artists. All we did was listen to the maverick rogue artists, and those maverick rogue artists exist in every fucking genre. You know what I mean? I have a tattoo right here of Patti Smith, and Patti Smith is a rogue artist. She's the sort of person that you're like, if you're looking for the roots of rebellion and DIY in music, and being a rogue in music, you think about people like Patti Smith, but there's Patti Smiths in every genre. There's Patti Smiths in ska. There's Patti Smiths in all different forms of hip hop. There's Patti Smiths in all different forms of rock or electronic music. So, that's like, what's my music taste? I don't know. It's all the things I think are worth listening to. Yeah. Anything I think is interesting and worth listening to and artistic and relevant to like the zeitgeist of cool. Whatever that means, right?
Mm-hmm. Zeitgeist.
Outsider artists. It's like the it's the general knowledge, the general body of knowledge. Usually it refers to like a popular body of knowledge, but what's that?
You're gonna widen my dictionary, my mental dictionary with all these words.
But that's the thing. Yeah. So it's like, well, what's my taste in music? Like,
yeah.
Like it's like a lot of people who end up in vaporwave. It's just it just comes from studying all kinds of different other pinnacles in subculture, and then you just get to the point where you're like, I've been like learning from all these different subcultures. Let's make one.
Yeah. You were actually talking to me before we started streaming about the subgenres of vaporwave and like how they're still vaporwave and that you shouldn't like shy away from proclaiming that.
Yeah, you can say it if you want, but at the end of the day, it's still vaporwave in the same way that new wave is still punk, in the same way that all these other, in the same way that even all these other genres are still under one big paradigm, like one big idea. So, but it's good. But that's the reason why I was saying to you earlier that I've been in a bunch of different streams now, and I mentioned that like I think I've been in the vaporwave streams. I've been in future funk streams like the one from Montaigne Records. I've been in dream punk streams like the one sponsored by Villain. These are all good friends of mine. Like every one of these people, whether it be Pad or George or the people at Villain or the people at Montaigne Records like Fiber, etc. These are people, and then I continue to move through all the crowds because I like stirring it up, because I'm reminding everybody that this is all interconnected, and that's how a movement remains strong, is with its variety. So yeah.
Yeah, you are such a supporter. I just need to know like how the hell you do this. Like,
it's just
how do you have the time?
It's a hobby. It's just in between when I'm doing other things. This is what I do. I just I play. I nurture the ecosystem.
You definitely do.
Because it's fun for me. It's fun for me. It's engaging for me, and I really, really, really love the idea of keeping the thing strong and keeping the thing eclectic. And so people feel like they can come play too, and they can come do their thing too. It's a big, fun, artistic playground for people to play with ideas, sounds, textures, and you start putting barriers on things or big restrictions on definitions of things, and it's less fun. There's less to do. There's less creativity, and then the genre loses its power, and the movement dies. But if it becomes more, if there becomes more variety to the point where you can't even pin down what it even sounds like, that's when it enters a true paradigm. It transcends genre and becomes paradigm, in that when you think of vaporwave, now you think of a collection of ideas, a collection of different parties, a collection of different ways of thinking, behaving, acting that are all like mixed together, and you don't barely even remember what the actual sound is. What's goth sound like?
Oh, so many genres of music.
Yeah, exactly. All the great movements
Yeah.
end up being something that you can't even pin your finger down on. You can't really do
'cause
that.
there's so many different kinds
yeah.
of goths. There's pastel goth. There's like I can't
What's
even
it?
name
Yeah,
all
you're
of
not.
them.
But you're not even really describing a sound. You're describing ideas around the sound. See, it's
Well,
not even a
there's
genre anymore.
different
Now it's a paradigm. Now you
music.
say goth. It could mean music. It could mean style. It could
That's
mean
true.
a way of, it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like I asked, what does goth sound like? And you're like, well, there's pastel. I'm like, you're
Well,
already
I
into
mean-
style. You're already into visuals. No, that's the point. That's why it's a great movie.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
you don't say goth, but people aren't immediately saying like, I don't know, Sisters of Mercy or something. But you can see a million things. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I just want to say, like, I'm a small streamer and you are always like, yeah, you are. You're always there for me, and it's like I just want to thank you so much for always like showing up, and like I see you everywhere, and I think that is just such an awesome thing. And I've said it on my streams, and I'll say it to you right now. You're fucking amazing, and I seriously appreciate your
thank you.
presence.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate your presence.
Important, I think. Yeah.
Oh no, thank you. Thank you very, very much. That's very, very sweet. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I try to be involved as much as I can, and even if it's just for a moment with things, because I want people to know that I care, and I want people to know that that they're supported, that they're doing interesting art, and they should continue to do the interesting art. Because it makes life fun and interesting. Interesting art makes life interesting. Really profound right there. Good one, Chris. Anyway.
Well, you've been super profound all day. I wanted to know, okay, so Crimes of the Future, is it inspired at all by Twin Peaks? At all? Like,
Crimes of the Future?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A lot of stuff I do in general is inspired by Twin Peaks because of the altered reality, for sure. But Crimes of the Future there was a David Cronenberg, the famous film director, who's done such films as Dead Ringers and Crash and The Fly and of course Videodrome. He had a short film that he made when he was a film student called Crimes of the Future back in like 1970 or 1969. And the original version of the film doesn't have a soundtrack, and so I'm a big David Cronenberg fan, and I had a little bit of time off for a vacation, and I'd always wanted to do a film score just to push my abilities with programming synthesizers and to push my abilities with telling stories through music in general, because what better way is there to tell a story through music than to try to follow a story on film? So I did that to as an exercise to push my abilities to program music and play with textures, and it was a lot of fun to do it. I'm very proud of that album. It's a 60-minute full score with different movements and different textures and motions for the synthesizers to represent and different themes. There's different pieces, different movements that come up for different parts that come up and up again in the movie when there's the right time for it. So just an exercise to push how far I could do this and to get good. And I don't know if I could ever do it again now. I was actually like, I don't know, I was into a fugue state when I wrote it. I was just doing it every day for 12 to 14 hours a day for like a full week, and then when I was done, the soundtrack was finished, and like I don't even know how I did it. I don't remember what I programmed. I don't know how I played that stuff. I don't know what I played. I don't know what chords I played. I don't know what notes I played. I don't even it's done. It sounds really good. Check it out on YouTube. Crimes of the Future.
Hell yeah.
Skeleton Lipstick Recut. It's doing well. It's got about like 10,000 views now, almost. Oh, sorry, 20,000 views now or something.
You can also download it on Skeleton Lipstick.
You can download the soundtrack on Skeleton Lipstick Bandcamp. You can watch it on YouTube with the movie. Yeah.
I would post that, but like I'm like my screen problem. I'm buying a new monitor.
I'll post it. No worries. You can keep asking questions.
Okay, so I want to know, are you making music for another album currently?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you experimenting at all, and what are you experimenting with?
Yeah, for sure. I'm experimenting a lot. A lot of so my first album was a lot about haunted textures and a lot about sort of a loneliness, the crispness of loneliness and of unfulfillment, because I was in a little bit of a confused point in my life when I was leaving behind a lot of conventions that I thought were necessary to be an upstanding member of society or whatever. And so there's a lot of feelings of a little bit of like not knowing what's going to happen next, of a little bit of a curious unknown yet to be explored that could be scary, but not really for me anymore. At this album, there's definitely the curious unknown now is more interesting to me than frightening. It's more captivating to me than threatening. It's just so the next one has a little bit more of an of a feel of curiousness, but a little bit more comforting, I guess, or a little bit more thrilling in a way. So there's a little bit heavier sounds on it. A little bit of I have got some very deeply layered synthesizers that cover like walls of texture and sound when they're played. So I would say that one of the things that I did to learn about that was, I don't know, I started studying a lot of Porter Robinson sounds, honestly, to tell you the truth. A lot of that stuff, a lot of Cashmere Cat, things like that. So I decided it was a good idea to learn how to do some of the LFO juggling that you see in some of these music and apply it in my music in a way that fits me and is and feels like me. But to continue to use these new techniques and to learn new things. And I've got a little bit that sounds a little bit bigger because it's a little bit less lonely and a little bit more like adventurous, I guess.
That's awesome. I can't fucking wait. Can we expect it in 2021 or 2020?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm gonna release one song from it shortly. In a moment, probably. I just got it mastered by World of Echo, Doom Trip Records. He just mastered, so I'll be putting one song out from it soon. I've been playing a bunch of them in the live streams, but it's not released yet just because I gotta play with it a little bit more. It needs to be correct, and then I need to get it mastered. And the other thing is, like, I need to start working on like art. That's always a thing. Well, it's hard, like this is your statement, so you need the art to be perfect. You need the design to be perfect. The art, not just the art, but the art direction as well. Like working on the art direction for the re-release of Glows and Melts was like a big deal for me to make sure this is correct, that the aesthetic is correct, that the themes are correct, that the visuals when you open it up fall into place. That so
do you do your own art, or you have others help you and you can
I have others do it because
Okay.
that's not what I do.
That's supporting other artists, so I love that.
So yeah, and that's a tough thing. It's to relinquish. It's not what I do. I know I make music and I make these compositions, and that's my thing. And when I start trying to do art, maybe I get there eventually, but it takes a long time, and it's not as pleasurable an experience for me as it is to actually compose music and to organize ideas. So you don't have to do, you don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
I do a lot of other things.
You can have help from everywhere.
Well, and the thing is that it's good to, because I appreciate working with other artists. I appreciate working with people who make art in a different medium than I do. I get my stuff mastered by different artists as well, because I like to interact with other artists. I like to speak to them. I like to hear them talk about their process, or to work their process, and to make their version of magic is fun, and to watch them make their version of magic and to work together. That's really fun. I mean, and it's always such a huge honor when you have someone who will make art for you, or who makes art for you, or who works at your DJ, or who works at your parties with you, or who helps organize them and helps put together. I have a lot of people that do things for me at Terminally Chill. The guys at Virtual 94 set up an outstanding booth where they set up a chill station where if you don't feel like dancing, you can go to this chill station, and there's these old TVs with video games on them, and video art that you can play with as well. And there's merchandise from Virtual 94 over there that you can check out or buy if you like. And Mr. Hideyoshi and Todosky do an outstanding job with that. And I could never set that up. They do such a good job at that, And you know,
Awesome.
so it's the
Yeah,
same
well,
thing with making music.
That's the.
And I like to have someone
perk-
master it too.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's the perk
no.
of our individuality is that like we could help each other and like also learn from each other. It's awesome, and you also are so unique. And if we didn't have your unique sound out there, and like you, yeah, it's awesome. The world. How cool is that?
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm very excited for you guys to hear the next album. I think it's very fun. I mean, the whole thing is also being designed. The other thing that's changed about how it's being written is like I've been a DJ for a little while now, right? And that's an interesting vantage point for me, particularly because my music isn't really, you know, it's like hypnagogic pop vaporwave. It's not exactly dance music. You know, my music isn't exactly dance music, but that's in me. You know what I mean? I'm a DJ. I clearly have that in me. So it's been an interesting process for the next album to resolve the personality who's the bedroom producer, hypnagogic pop artist, making these sort of careful compositions with lots of interweaving textures and reverbs mixing together. That's the one side of me. But then there's another side of me that's like the dance party side that goes out dancing and is extroverted and has a fun time. And so to sort of resolve those things, those two parts of myself together, because like I'm clearly never going to make straight up EDM or straight up future funk music. This is not who I am. But you know, I want to incorporate that dance groove into what I'm doing. So how do I mix that together with what I have been doing prior? And that's been an interesting experience. It's been a really fun experience, and it'll be a high energy, dancey, but very pensive and thoughtful existential experience too when the album comes out. It'll be called It Takes a Lifetime. But I am releasing a song from it called Skelly Smoochums soon, which is very fun.
Skelly Smoochums? I love that name.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it's kind of funny. I love it.
That's why I chose it. It made me laugh.
Speaking of you DJing, you DJ'd on 100p recently.
I did, yes.
On their big stream, and
Yes.
you DJ'd one of my friend's songs.
Pop Culture?
Pop Culture, yes, Sam. I love him, and I just wanted
he's the
to
best.
shout him out and also be.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a great songwriter, great producer.
Yeah, that was like awesome of you
I'm a
to
big
do
fan.
that.
I'm a big fan of him. And you know, he and that's like, and what I love about a song like that too is that's, you know, to me that's like a dance party song. I mean, that's the whole thing about doing these vaporwave dance parties too, is like redefining exactly what you're supposed to hear at a dance party, you know. And you know, I hope with that set, I went through a bunch of different types. There's so many different rhythms to dance to, and you know, something can be on a dance floor and have a little bit of a rhythm but also be anthemic. That's a dance party song to me. And so, you know, not everything is techno or hip hop. There's a million other things you can dance to. People put that Pop Culture song on, and you maybe dance in the mirror to it, you know, or you're at a concert. That's dancing, man. That can be part of the dance party experience, and that's why I did on that performance, you know. And that's a perfect song for that idea that I'm illustrating right now, and that's why I did it at the 100 stream, you know, because I figured there'd be a little bit of an audience there to, you know, to demonstrate that concept to people.
Yeah, I love it. I wanted to ask, how do you decide on the music you play for these DJ sets?
Okay, so for live streams or for actual dance parties?
Well, let's start with live streams.
Live streams are carefully constructed, carefully put together to tell a story, because when I'm doing a live stream, you know, that's a different kind of DJing, to me at least. That DJing is about telling a story, being a performer, creating tension, building rises and falls, just like you would see an EDM DJ at a festival do. Like, that's not club DJing, right? That's performance DJ. That's performative DJing. That's creating a show, right? You're creating a show. So that's carefully decided on, because you're thinking about what story you're trying to tell, how much of the song you're going to play, whether you're going to turn that song into a breakdown that will build up and drop into another thing, whether you're going to have like a big, like, you know, drop and with like a little, you know, sort of interstitial part that's just for dancing. So that's a whole different thing. That's carefully done. That's that, and it's, you know, and then the visuals. Like, a lot of times I do my own visuals, unless, you know, Sleep Pattern has done visuals for me, but I've done about like 12 live streams, and most of the time I'm doing my own visuals. So it's also about thinking about how you're going to do that, what story you're going to tell with that, what ideas you're going to try and do, and how you're going to represent what fucking story you're telling through those visuals too with the music. So that's careful. But when I do actual DJing at Terminally Chill, no, I don't plan that. Absolutely not. I don't plan that at all.
Really? You just go for it?
I do have different. No. Well, I have folders, right? So I have multiple different folders with multiple different vaporwave subgenres, right? I even like have a distinction between like I even goes down much further than that. Like sometimes I have like in the future funk section, I will like break it down into like what type of samples this is. So, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I have one that's like, okay, this one uses Italo disco samples. This is like fucking city pop sample music, and then this one is funk sample music. So like I break it down. So like depending on what the crowd is doing and depending on what needs to change, like I can go get what I need very quickly, right? And then I have a whole other section that's just vaporwave hits, right? So then there's like songs that like will work no matter what. You know what I mean? There's fucking like Cherry Pepsi in that one. There's like that Ain't Nobody song by Young Bay in that one. There's like there's George Clinton makes the babies want to cry in that folder, or there's other stuff like there's a bunch of other things in there. A few songs by Mo Shop that always work, etc. And so like if ever I get in a jam, I just put one of those on. You don't even need to mix when you go into that one of those songs. You just fucking hit start and then boom, the crowd goes crazy. So I do plan the fact that around midnight is when I'm going to play a lot of stuff people really like, or a lot of new stuff I've listened to recently that's like that hits different, that hits real good, and I know will kill on a dance floor. So I have that ready for then. But I certainly definitely don't plan for the first half hour when no one's even there yet. No, I'm just going to play. I'll probably like be playing a bunch of like Caste System Corp and like that, like to warm up. That I kind of just want to hear right now. And then once people start coming in, I like immediately play a Calm Truce track because it's like the bass hits really hard and it gets everyone's attention, and then I just go from there with other things. And also I DJ. I always have people come in as, "What's up, Pat? Long live T-Chill." Yeah. Pat doesn't plan his sets either. He just kind of like has a bunch of stuff ready to go, and sometimes he plans it. Actually, I don't know. I shouldn't speak for him. He does the same thing. He reads the audience and plays what needs to be played. Fiverr does the same thing as well. And that's like the more often you start playing in front of, when I first started and I didn't have many people there, I planned my sets pretty much. And every DJ is different. Also, this is just, let me say this right now. Like you can do it either way. You can either meticulously plan, or you can kind of just do it on the fly. But I also I have combinations that work, and then if it's been a few months since I put this combination of songs together, I'll go back and do it again. There's a lot of shit I did those live streams that I remember, and I'm like, I'm fucking gonna do that live. I can't wait.
I love your live streams. I love how much energy.
Oh, thank you.
In your live streams, I don't know. I feel like it just transcends outside the actual TV that you're watching, and you just want to dance with you because of your energy. You know what I'm trying to say?
Thank you. I do know you're trying to say. That's what
you to dance with you.
That's what I'm trying to do. As the main person at these parties, at my parties I throw, or even if I'm performing, I'm I'm the cheerleader for all this. I gotta set the tone. I remember I was talking to Phil from Private Suite, who interviewed me eventually on Private Suite magazine, Private Suite's podcast. But I met him initially at Pad's event in New York, Aesthetic Nights, and I talked to Phil. Phil came up and talked to me after that was over. Said, "Hey, we got to interview you. I'm really excited about seeing what Terminated Chill is all about." And then I remember when Phil came to interview me, he's like, "So I wasn't really too familiar, with what you were going to be like on stage and etc. When what Terminated Chill was going to be like. Then I saw you come into Pad's event, and you came in dancing and bopping and having a great time. And once I saw that, I'm like, oh man, Terminated Chill is going to be awesome. This guy brings a party." And yeah. I do try and bring the party. I really enjoy dancing. I enjoy music a lot. I feel it. I feel it hard, and I want people to have a good time. And I don't want to be one of those DJs who just sits behind the deck and just mixes and doesn't look up at the crowd.
Yeah.
I'm really involved with the crowd.
But I love it when people I don't have a problem.
I don't have a problem with it either. It's not who I am.
To the music, but
yeah.
I love it more when someone is on the screen and someone is live when it's on a
Oh
URL
yeah,
stream.
absolutely. Trust me. I was literally I'm so happy. I didn't know if that would translate through to the live stream, so I'm happy to hear that it does.
Yeah.
I was literally just talking about people at live DJ sets who just sit there and DJ. No, I'm not. Live stream's a whole different thing. I was literally speaking about just at a club and the DJs that don't do anything and go around.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's why I fell for NRail. Not to just.
Oh, he's so fun, isn't he? He's so fun.
Yeah,
man, that was so fun. I remember when I saw NRail perform at was it a Rosewood? I don't remember. The first time I saw NRail set, I actually Pad's in here right now. I texted Pad and I was like, "Are you watching NRail? This is so much fun." And Pad texted me, I was like, "Yeah, this is great." Pad's a lot of fun too when he DJs. You know.
Yeah,
I love those DJ sets. I love them. When Pad was DJing Terminally Chill, every time before he would start to say, he's like, "Can we cut the music for a second? I'm gonna work this crowd up." And I'm like, "Oh yeah," because normally at Terminally Chill, we just sort of one DJ leaves, the other one gets on, and it's seamless, right? But Pad's like, "No, stop this music! I'm gonna he can get up there and do these rousing speeches, right before his set." I loved it.
Yeah.
NRail, I saw NRail DJing and doing his set, playing his music. I messaged Pat right, like, "This guy is so fun." We did the same thing with the Strawberry Station actually too. After we saw him play.
Really?
I'd love to get.
I'd love
to get him. I'd love to get him here.
His sets are so much fun, and I don't know, Kawaii. I love it.
It's true. Also, I want to put it out there really quick. I know I've been putting a lot of praise on the more extroverted DJs, but you don't have to be like me. You don't have to be, just because there's people like me who are really loud and jumping around, and it's a lot of fun. But you don't. It's not like you're not a bad DJ. It's not a bad party. You're not a bad performer if you're not like that. And if you can come and DJ Terminally Chill, and don't worry, I'll take care of that part. You can do things.
What is the future for Terminally Chill? When are you gonna do it again? And or when do you think?
When it's safe. When it's safe. And when it's safe, the Barbary is still retooling. We still are, distributing the vaccine. It'll be time again. I'm not worried. Don't worry. It's coming back. It'll come back. Everyone wants it to come back. It's a hugely popular party in Philadelphia, which is shocking because it's a vaporwave dance party. It's in Philadelphia and it's on a Thursday. It's on a weeknight too. It's not even on a weekend. And people stay late and they let us keep the bar open past curfew, so often, till 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, because people have such a fun time. So it's very popular. They want me to come back. They want to reopen, and it'll come back eventually. I just am also sad that we have obviously Terminally Chill in California as well, in Davis, California, run by who was in here earlier. Fantacat was in here earlier, who's just a fantastic DJ and a fantastic performer and the fastest learner in the entire world. I know Fantacat from Philadelphia. She wanted to DJ. I showed her how to DJ, and then it was and she immediately after she's like, "I'm buying my first deck," and then she just killed it. And then she's out there in Davis, California, and she was just so dedicated. She got her own night over in Davis, California. I was like, "Wow, that was fast." And then granted it a Terminally Chill. She's I couldn't ask for a better person to run. What?
She's kind of an inspiration for me. I mean, because she's a woman DJ, and there's very few of them. There's Data Girl and Fantacat, and I don't really know a lot more.
Yeah, and that's Fantacat is the person who runs that party. That is Fantacat's. Fantacat is the manager of Terminally Chill, Davis, California, and she's an absolutely excellent person. And I was never. There's no one else who I would ever think to even run that party aside from her. She's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow,
I'm glad that she's an inspiration to you. That's awesome. She's an inspiration to me. She's also a scientist. She's in she's getting her PhD right now and doing her thing and still keeping it weird. And
I love weird.
That's admirable. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's so fucking awesome. I didn't know that you like helped with her and all that. That's so awesome.
I mean, it wasn't even that much to help. It was literally just she wanted to know some basics, and then she did everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
I gave some instruction that would be helpful, and that was it. And then she taught it. Yeah, she did it.
So, you have Terminally Chill in Philly and California. Are there any more like expansions you want to do?
Yeah, of course. I would love to bring it everywhere. Planned?
Miami,
I had some plans, but they were taken off. They were put on hold because of this current situation. So eventually, But yeah, of course, I want to expand. Absolutely. If I would love to bring this out to more places. And the nice thing is that I want to I don't want to continue to expand vaporwave in general in this way and other ways, because there's nothing wrong with expanding it and making it bigger, so long as it stays in the hands of the people that care about it. And thus far, it has. I mean, shockingly, it's remained, within the community, and everybody is involved in it. And I hope that basically seeing how accessible I am, like I'm not like a George Clan or something, but I'm from the same class, and I am able to like one moment be on 100% Electronica, and the next moment in like a Twitter chat with somebody who maybe is just starting out. So just to show people how easily accessible and how not out of reach any of this stuff is, because here I am like hobnobbing over there, and maybe with someone who just started and just released their first song.
I wanted to ask, are you a doctor first or a musician first? What do you prefer?
What do I prefer?
Yeah, because I know you have like a full-time doctor job, and I wanted to know. Like...
Yeah, I work in private practice. I work in private practice. I do 4 days a week. I've scaled down considerably in the amount of things that I do in that world, because life is short and you got to do all the things. I did a lot of heavy caseloads in that during my residency and like during part of my first year.
Yeah.
And
that was a weird way to ask it. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. You're good. You're good. Absolutely. But I actually I don't know. It's hard to say, and I don't really have a line between me as a musical artist, or me as a DJ, or me as a promoter, or me as a surgeon. It's just always me. So, but yeah, like I've scaled back my workload significantly in that world, so I can continue to focus on these things as well and do both, because why? I live very simply. I don't have expensive tastes in things. You're asking me about coffee, and I was like, I drink like whatever's available. I literally live like an out of work barista, because so I don't have to work that much because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do, and I still have a lot of loans. Dear God, that's the one. That's a big deal. Oh man, I have like $250,000 in school loans. It's real. It's real.
Over 200,000.
250,000 right now, and that's after paying off a bit of them.
Holy fuck!
I mean, it's a lot of school.
Yeah. Well, fuck.
But yeah. No, absolutely. So I don't even I don't really even like hang out with a lot of medical professional people, because I just don't have a terrible amount in common with them.
Yeah, I totally get it.
I just don't have a lot in common with them, I'm not sure how they always feel about me, because I think a lot of them would prefer that if I was like them, because it would make them feel better about themselves. There's a lot of times people want you to be like them so they can feel better about their own choices. You know what I mean? Like, why don't you, buy a house you can't afford and get like shitty fucking cars that are like, make you feel better about whatever they fucking buy, a bunch of what's expensive white people clothes? I don't know. It's like a dumb brand that they might wear. Burberry probably, I assume. Like, why don't you do this? Like, why don't you live your life like this? And so we can feel better about what we chose not to do. And I want to do that. So,
Yeah, because I mean, I totally get that mentality because you have like, we only have like one life on this earth, and like materials aren't that important. Like, they're great. Sometimes they can make
get
you
things
happy.
that make you happy, you know, just don't. Yeah,
they can make you
of course.
happy,
Get
but
the
like,
things, no, get the things that make
do
you
what
happy.
you
And it
wanna
doesn't matter. It
do.
doesn't. It can be if an expensive thing makes you happy, get the
Yeah.
expensive thing.
Yeah.
But just don't get the thing because you want to keep up you want to keep up
The
the
image.
image of being able to get
Yeah.
lots of nice things. But
Yeah.
you know, if you're into cars and you want a really expensive car that makes you happy, get the car, man.
Yeah.
But if you do that, maybe you don't also need the crazy mansion. Maybe you don't also need the expensive wardrobe. Maybe get the thing that is the right thing that's expensive that makes you happy, and just like think before you purchase. Think about the thing that you really want and get that. I wanted to get a really nice synthesizer. I got that.
Hell
You know?
yeah. That was a good purchase because that's going to lead up to the next album. So.
Well, yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's great. It's like the only luxury items I have, that and a Dyson vacuum cleaner, which is a really great vacuum cleaner.
Ooh. Yeah.
Ooh. Vacuum cleaners is exciting stuff right now. This is a real good content. Someone clip that.
Okay,
no.
okay. I have a question. I don't know if you've been asked this before, but how did you come up with Skeleton Lipstick as a name?
Yeah, because the idea of skeleton lipstick was, I've actually been asked this question a lot, and you know, the way that I answer it, you know, is the same way I will say that I answered it back in like 2011, the first time I was asked, was the idea of taking. No, I'm glad I can tell people the answer. Sometimes people don't expect an answer for like these sort of like their names, but anyway. So the idea is basically, I work with a lot of either defunct technology or forgotten sounds or just you know, damaged recordings or damaged synthesizers, and as I mentioned, or music or ideas that have been kind of left behind in different eras. So it's taking those ideas and kind of dressing them up for a new existence. So it's skeleton lipstick. It's taking the corpse of something old and dressing it up in a new way.
I love that. I just love it. I mean, I love like the look, like your what is it? Oh my god. Okay, for your one album with a skeleton with lipstick on it.
Yeah, that's Glows the Melt, correct.
I love that whole like dark look, and I just love the look of it too. Like,
that's great. So what that is actually taken from is, so one of my favorite films is Inferno by Dario Argento, and I always liked it because it didn't have much of a plot, and it was more like a dream. It was more like a strange, like not quite nightmare. No, I guess it was a nightmare, but it wasn't like a nightmare in that it's like something that like immediately shocks you. It's a nightmare that you slowly realize you're in a place that's cursed, and you're in a world that's different, and there's not a lot explained to you. It's not a lot understood, and that's just what sort of life felt like to me at the time. So the actual skull is taken from an old poster for that film. Now the trick of this whole thing though is that the skull is taken from an old poster for that film, but when you open up either the cassette version or the vinyl, which is now available for pre-order on Needle Juice Records, I'll get to that in a moment. But when you open it up, there are still photos as well that are signifying that same sort of feeling of eeriness. But the photos inside and the stills inside are not from the film Inferno. They're from different movies. They're different. So vaporwave to me is sometimes the idea of thinking you know what you're in for because you sort of recognize what this is, and then the more you get into it and the deeper you travel through it, the more you begin to realize that this is a completely unfamiliar world and that you thought you knew where you were and you're not there anymore. So you might think you're about to see something that's like, when you look at that album cover, maybe you think it's going to be a goth album, maybe you think it's going to be something like that, and then it is, but maybe it isn't, and then it really isn't, and then you're completely in something new, and then you don't even know what it sounds like anymore. You're not even sure what this genre is.
I love it.
And that's the same thing with the pic that's represented with the still frames inside the album, is that they're not from the same thing as the front cover anymore. You're somewhere else. You're somewhere else now. You're somewhere else, and you don't try and figure it out. You're going to have to now just go with it and get consumed by it. And that's sort of life in general. But yeah, but that album did just come out, re-released on Wave Racers, who did a fantastic job with it, and that is sold out. But now it is is re-released now on vinyl by Needle Juice Records, and that just came out.
Yeah,
and
there's a
it's for pre-order.
one, and there's a blue, red, and white with blue splatter.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the Glows edition, which glows in the dark, and the Melts edition, which is the splatter vinyl. Yeah, correct. And that's for pre-order right now. They just put out on pre-order on Needle Juice Records. So yeah, pick one up because it's really fun. It's a gatefold as well, so you don't know, but like when you get this vinyl, you'll be able to open it up, and there's all kinds of different crazy shit going on inside the gatefold as well.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, so I'm gonna ask everybody to ask questions right now. Go ahead, and then I'm also gonna ask you about hot takes while they do that. So you have this new show coming up called Hot Takes with young Shiro.
Yeah, Isaac, good friend of mine. Very old, good friend of mine.
Yeah, how did you guys
He's the
meet?
best.
And what's to be expected?
I met Isaac because I was a fan of his TSQ dance compilations back in the early vaporwave days. I ended up on one of them, and back in the day, if someone was doing something interesting and someone seemed like they were a cool person to meet or liked cool things, you just friended them on Facebook. Like, I think we still do that today. We still do that today a little bit, right?
But as a Gen Z, I'm like, I made another Facebook because I despised Facebook.
Of course, because you grew up with it. Yeah, it was there from when you were a child. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I grew up with it, but my parents got on it, and I was like, oh, okay, this isn't cool anymore. My parents are on this site. I don't want to use it anymore.
Oh no, makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm just saying, but back then that was the but back like 10 years ago or 12 or 8 to 10 years ago, that was like the only one that people were really using. Oh, that and Twitter. They were using that and Twitter basically. And so you just kind of, if someone was doing something interesting, I don't know, most people were hanging out in Facebook groups back then, or they were at least posting all their shit in Facebook groups then. So you just friended them. Isaac seemed like a cool guy who curated cool music. I liked his compilations. I was very flattered to be on one, so I messaged him. Or I didn't message him, I friended him. And then we eventually just ended up commenting on a lot of the same things. So, you can kind of tell when someone has very similar music taste to you. And and that's when I always kept an eye on whatever he was posting. And then he started posting DJ sets, and I was like, oh, great. And I always thought Isaac was like the best vaporwave DJ that I'd ever seen.
Really?
I still think that personally. Yeah, of course. I think he's like the best vaporwave DJ. I think he's the best vaporwave DJ.
He really
to be a very good,
and he definitely is.
To be a good vaporwave DJ is to almost be the best kind of DJ in the world, because it means that most of these people who listen to vaporwave, as I mentioned, have listened to a lot of other stuff. They're familiar with a lot of other kinds of music. They process music a lot differently than other people. And vaporwave has a lot of different sounds in it, a lot of different varieties. This isn't like being a really great techno DJ or a really good indie dance party DJ. This is like, you have all kinds. You've got trap in there. You've got EDM sort of stuff in there. You've got like ambient in there. You've got pop in there. You've got dance music, disco, all kinds. Like, you're mixing a lot. You got to be able to mix a lot of stuff and also process a lot of different sounds and think about how a lot of different sounds could come together in different ways, much more than any other DJ ever has to think about. So if you're the best vaporwave DJ, you might just be one of the best DJs in general, my opinion.
And he makes mixes and stuff just for what is it? That one site, not Bandcamp, but
SoundCloud?
Mixcloud. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I always fucking go blank on everything. But anyways, SoundCloud. He makes mixes and he prepares these DJ sets and puts it on SoundCloud, and it's
better than I am.
Yeah. I love Isaac. I love him. I love his energy. I'm so excited for this.
So then, me too. So then Isaac had this idea. He's like, I wish we could do a music talk show together. And I said, all right, I don't know. I sometimes say some rambunctious things about art and music. So I was like, I don't want to say anything that's going to get people mad at me. Sometimes I accidentally do that. I don't mean any harm by it, but I just say what I think. And if I say something that's sort of disparaging about an artist or maybe something you like, I try and do it in a funny way. So at least I'm entertaining. I'm not completely disparaging. I said it in a creatively mean way, I guess. but Isaac said that that's what he wants. So yeah, and so I told him that okay, yeah, if you can set this up, I'll co-host, and then we did because he's a go-getter. He does his thing. If he's going to do something, he does it.
That's
So yeah,
true.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I love him.
So
So I guess this is the first question I've
okay.
seen. Be Careful Media asks, would you consider cereal a type of soup?
Would I consider cereal a type of soup?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's cereal. Isn't it? I mean, is there cold soup? Does it? Yeah,
I
sure.
don't
Why not?
know.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, fine. It's soup. It's like sugar soup. It's good. Yeah, that's soup.
Sure.
Why not?
I don't think it's a soup.
Yeah.
I think it's cereal.
Well, why not? You know what? It's in a bowl. You eat it with a spoon. Oh,
I just want to go against what Be
It can
Careful
be.
says, honestly.
it can be. No. I mean, like, it's. What's the next question?
Okay. What type of bass would you consider underrated? Says
What
Be
type of-
Careful again.
What type of bass?
Bass. Yeah.
What are we talking about with bass right now? Are we talking about music, or are we talking about or the instrument? Which one?
Let's just say music, I guess.
Music, like a bass band that's underrated, like that plays like bass music, like rhythm and something like that. Is Enreal asking this?
This is Be Careful Media.
Oh, I mean, like if I had to pick
Episode.
if I had to pick an underrated bass band, like a bass producer that's like rhythmy or dubsteppy, like I like Hero Bust a lot. I think they're underrated.
I've never heard of that.
I think Hero Bust is underrated. I like them.
Hero Bus.
Exactly, they're underrated. All right.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
They're fun,
Another
I like them.
question. Okay. Be careful again.
Oh,
if
man,
you could
who's-
have the stems and VST settings of any song, what song would you choose?
The stems and VST settings of any song, what song would I choose? Anything by on You Melt Me by Flamingo, FLA.MINGO. That album, You Melt Me, is outstanding. And I would love to have the stems and whatever settings that gentleman used on that album. It's on Business Casual, and it's one of my absolute favorite albums. Yeah, man, I would love to know how he did some of the things on that album, how he mixed, how he was doing his mixing, because it sounds great, and I would love to. I love that album a lot. It's really good. So yes, that's what I would love the stems and the VST settings for.
Awesome. Okay. Eventual Infinity asks, what is the future of Vaporwave? At any point, did you think Vaporwave would end/be over? What's been most surprising to you about the Vaporwave world?
Okay, got
That's a lot.
it. So the future of Vaporwave is going to be, and the easy answer is to say continuing to move back out to live spaces again. Yes, I think that's part of the beginning of Vaporwave. I do think that there's going to be a little bit more intertwining. So my thing is that I'd like to see Vaporwave become the subculture to, you go to EDM festivals and you also go to Vaporwave underground shows. So in the same way that maybe you used to go in the 70s or 80s to arena rock concerts, but also to punk shows, I'd like to see Vaporwave be the flip side of the coin to that for the upcoming generations. So I do see a little bit more of something that might get infused with Vaporwave more and more as we move forward, is just some heavier basses. Speaking of bass again, is some heavier kick drums, some heavier beats, some more chopping going on, maybe some more LFO modulation a little bit. I think it's slowly creeping in. I know I'm doing it. I know Unrail does it. But it's going to be interesting to see that continue to mix in, because that's very, very contemporary. And then I want to see that get mixed up with all the nostalgia and the weird cryptic textures as well that are used from sampling music, and then breaking it down and reverbing it, but then now making it, breathing another kind of weird life into it. I do see that as going in a little bit more. But, yeah. It's funny because, everything in Vaporwave that's happening now, man, at the beginning of vaporwave, it was very varied too. You know, it was a lot of people doing very different types of sounds and very different type of textures. And really, the only time that vaporwave, you know, maybe for a brief period in, I don't know, maybe late 2015 through like the end of 2016, maybe vaporwave was a little bit more, you know, it was a little bit more, getting a little bit more codified at the moment. But I don't know. To me, vaporwave, the future of vaporwave, just feels like the beginning of vaporwave to me right now again, and that's great. So, you know, the future of vaporwave is to sound like it originally did 10 years ago.
Do you think vaporwave's gonna be mainstream? Like,
it's kind of really funny because
I know George is trying so hard to make it mainstream.
Well, what George is really trying to do is become the mainstream.
Yeah.
So whereas he's not trying to make it mainstream, so as he's trying to be the mainstream itself. So there's a very different that's a very different thing. So there's a difference between just you know, signing up with a major label, being part of the system, working for a manager who also manages a million other mainstream artists. George is building his own version of the mainstream, an alternate dimension version of it. So if the way that vaporwave will become mainstream will be when it owns its own version of mainstream. Does that make sense? It still operate outside the real mainstream, but it will become more popular. So like when I talked to George at the festival, I remember the first time at the first Electronicon backstage, I was talking to him I'm like, you really did it. You know, you did this. You sold out. We sold out. You sold it out. You're the one who made it. You sold out this whole venue, you know, from 3 in the afternoon till 4 in the morning, and you did it without the help of any mainstream corporate sponsorship or any of that. Like George jokingly said to me after that, he's like, that's because I'm trying to be that corporate entity. I'm trying to be that mainstream. And he's like, and he said, you're like, how much are we charging for those cups of water over there? $10. Like he like made a joke about it. But like, yeah, he's creating an alternate dimension of mainstream. That's the way vaporwave becomes mainstream. It controls itself. It becomes a threat to the real mainstream because it can only be controlled by the people who created it and who love it. So this is a really important thing that George is doing. That I wonder if people realize this or not sometimes. That maybe they complain about this being like too popular, too whatever. I'm like, you fucking idiots. I'm like, don't you understand what the deeper thing that's going on here is? Like, you think that he's just trying to be this, like, you think he's trying to sell out? Like, no, he's doing the opposite. Like, he's done the complete opposite. He's bought something. He hasn't sold out. He's creating another mainstream. So, you know, but people who think that this is like a selling out thing, like, man, your vision of the world is very small.
I don't really have a problem with selling out because I
do.
Like, I mean, well, I just see it as like I probably won't like your music anymore because it's different, but at the same time, you're richer and you're probably happier being richer or something.
I believe that there are other ways to do this that don't involve selling out, and I think that that's it's an acquiesce to do so. I think that what George does is you can either sell out to an empire that already exists, and you can be at the behest of them. You can lose all the rights to what you do. You can sign up for these contracts that are going to exhaust you. You're going to think you're getting a good deal on a major record label or whatever, but then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself with no money 10 years later because you didn't know how that management worked. You didn't know how that contract worked. You got people like George creating another version of the mainstream. They don't even have big contracts there. They own all their music. They can sell all their stuff. And then, you know, so like I actually do have a big problem with selling out. I will never do that. You can either sell out or you can build your own empire, in my opinion. And in today's world, you need that mainstream sponsorship less and less and less. You can create your own thing. You can create your own thing. Dream Catalog does it. George does it. This is Casuals getting really does it. You know what I mean? You can build your empire, and you can build a better empire than the one that the mainstream world has created. Because look at this. In the vaporwave one, we all talk to each other. There's very little walls between the smallest vaporwave artists and the biggest vaporwave artists, and it can continue to be that way.
It's true. Wow.
Yeah.
You're so fucking like intelligent.
I'm intense, and I apologize for that.
Intelligent and
no, I just talk a lot.
Codex Encyclopedia asks, Dr. Chris, what are side effects of Botox on the already plastic humans walking among us? I love this.
Codex is great. Do you guys watch his show? Because it's fantastic. I just had some music videos on there recently. Codex is an awesome guy because I love how he takes the lines he draws from one idea to the next, to the next, to the next is like such like a vaporwave thing to do, is to just like think about and consider all the other different types of music, cultural and social, and musical, social, like things that you know about, and to think about how they're all interconnected. And that's like so vaporwave, and nobody does it better than Codex does. So my answer though is that it stiffens them up even more. Botox, however, is a short-acting thing, so there aren't too many permanent side effects to even the most plastic people for getting the Botox injections. Even the most plastic.
Would you would you recommend or not recommend Botox?
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Try it out. Try it out. Why not? I mean, like, probably should try and do as little of that. You should try to avoid injecting poison into yourself, but it's like relatively harmless. Anyway.
Okay, Enreal asks favorite cereal.
We're really on the cereal thing, huh?
Yeah.
Cereal. My favorite cereal. I don't really eat cereal. Let me think. Probably some really shit, like some fucking kashi thing, honestly. There's some really good flavors of that. I eat that. It's really boring and very, very old of me to say that. Like, I don't really, I like soy milk and kashi cereals usually.
Mm-hmm. No, Nathan loves healthy cereals, so he probably.
Oh, good. All right. That's good.
To be
Perfect.
honest. Yeah. Lux Elite asks, Chris, what is the tracking number for Lux's copy of the Glows Then Melts cassette? I think that's a personal question.
That's Lux. No, I have like, so it's been an ongoing thing with me. Like, I literally like 9 years ago was like, Lux, I am gonna give you this copy of Glows and Melts from the original pressing of it, and like I still haven't sent it to her. I still have it, and now it's gotten to the point where like I have now 2 editions to send to her, and then in addition to the 2 editions of it to send to her, I now have 2 different variations of the vinyl to send to her as well. So like, there's like. I was thinking about organizing it all into a big care package eventually for Lux.
That's a good idea.
Because I think that we're finally at the final release of this album. Like years later, like now it's been out on cassette a few times, a couple times. It's gonna. Oh wait, there'll be a mini disc too, maybe. So I guess that'll also be in the care package. Like, but after that, like this is like the album has run as many times as it possibly can. I think at this point. So I'll put them all into a care package, and we'll do that. Not going anywhere.
No one else has asked this, but I kind of want to ask myself. How do you feel about mini discs?
How do I feel about them? Oh,
Yeah.
they're so fun. They're so fun. They're such a fun little media form. I love it too. They're so vaporwave. They're so vaporwave because they're such a failed technology, and they're like the best kind of failed technology because they're so like initially slick looking, but the more you look at it, the more you're like, fuck am I like? Why would like that was never gonna catch on?
Yeah.
Like people don't want to walk around with these discs that you can't really that are difficult to record on. That are MP3 players are coming out a month later after these mini discs are coming out. Like they're the number one, like most like interesting abandoned version of technology because like they are kind of like high tech. They have they're digitally coded. They were advertised as this sleek new alternative to CDs, and then like a year later, MP3s just like crushed them. Like MP3 players just crushed them immediately. So like they're like a really super big wave. Like the it's like yeah. So of course you put on like a lot of music that sounds like it's from a forgotten time. Vaporwave sounds like it's from either a forgotten time or a time in the future that never came, and now that timeline itself is beginning to degrade and erode. So like it's great. I love them. They're awesome.
Yeah.
I honestly think that I honestly think the least vaporwave thing out there is vinyl, personally. Like I thought that was the least vaporwave thing. I mean, I love vinyl, and I love the reason vinyl is great is because it's another opportunity for artists to work. It's another way for us to put the art in a big display. It's another way to create these wonderful colors and this altered reality But at the end of the day, I actually think it's like the least vaporwave medium possible. Like, because it's like everybody loves vinyl. Everybody thinks it's cool. It's awesome. It is cool. It is awesome. But like everybody thinks it's awesome. It's not like a forgotten technology. It's like the most celebrated. It's the most celebrated way of releasing music. So like I actually think it's the least vaporwave.
Yeah.
But I love them.
I've heard like that people are probably gonna stop like doing cassettes because it's not selling.
Really? You really think so? I mean, I heard you talking about that last week.
Yeah,
but,
I heard from like
but vaporwave is what made cassette culture exist.
Yeah.
Honestly, there were cassettes before vaporwave started really putting them out. But I mean, I remember the first time I saw Washed Out had put out, the High Times EP, and it was only on cassette. And I remember thinking that feels appropriate. And I'm like, and I remember that being a band that was influenced on me. I'm like, I feel like my music, Skeleton Lipstick, would feel appropriate released on cassette as well. And then eventually a bunch of internet cassette labels began to spring up because it was a cheap way to release a physical product. And it was an interesting way to release a physical product as well, particularly for a genre like vaporwave, because you have no choice but to start and stop wherever the tape leaves off at it. So you are dropped into the world of the artist randomly, like you're dropped into a forest, and now you've got to make your way through it. It's not like a CD or vinyl or even a mini disc where you can pick what you want to listen to, or particularly not a streaming service. You can't pick where you want to go. You get to put on this thing, you get dropped in the world, and now you got to work through the world. And you don't get to choose where you start in it. And it also breaks down over time. It also degrades over time. It has a layer of saturation that only exists on a little analog cassette form.
Yeah,
it's a much more interesting way to listen to vaporwave in general.
Yeah.
Oh shit, she got that signed? I got that tape signed? Damn, Lux, you got High Times signed. Yeah, exactly. It's a very, and it's also the great thing about cassettes was like you could make them pretty cheaply, and you could flood the world with vaporwave cassettes. It's easy to flood the world with them. You know what I mean? That they continually reproduce. They continually create, they continually encompass different sounds, and they're just everywhere. And they're just only a few of them are made, and then another few are made, and then another few are made, and then like you'll never be able to collect them all. And so like there are these really fun functional art pieces that are and they're little functional art pieces. You don't even have to have a cassette player. You don't actually have to have a vinyl player to enjoy vinyl or a cassette player to enjoy a cassette. It's a functional art piece. These things are lovingly crafted, and you can display them, and you can. It's not required that you listen to your stuff. They're art pieces. First things first, they're art pieces. And they happen to be functional. So if you buy them and don't listen to them, they're still an art piece.
True. I happen to... Okay, I have a lot of cassettes now since I started collecting.
They're fun. The sound they make when they click open, it's so weird.
I got a cassette player from my friend, which broke. But I still keep buying cassettes because I fucking love it. Like, I love the aesthetic of it. Yeah.
They're fun. And they're so weird, collectible. They're like Beanie Babies. There's so many of them.
Yeah, I think it's just like the look of all of it that really keeps me like spending my money. But
it's totally like the look of it. It was like a really nice way. Like, you know what? It like broke down the barrier of who could start a record label and how you could do a record label, and you could still make physical media because it's really hard. It's really expensive to make vinyl. Not expensive to do cassette runs. I can't imagine. I don't believe they'll ever stop. I believe there's always going to be someone who's going to make cassette labels. I'm always going to release my music on cassette first and foremost. My music will always come out on cassette. If it comes out on no other medium, it will always come out on cassette.
All right, so Your Unspeakable asks, Chris, how are you so talented and handsome?
Oh, please. I am not either of those things in particular. Thank you very much for saying that. I really appreciate that. It's just a matter. The one thing I am is like I often have clear vision in my mind of what I want to see in the world, whether that be with my music or with my parties or with my scene. I have a pretty clear vision of what I want to see happen, and I have a pretty clear vision of people as well when I talk to them and like what they are doing, what they're about, and and when I see that in people, I like to encourage them to be like that too. So, I encourage whatever they're doing well, if I see it in them. But so I don't know. I don't think I really appreciate that compliment, but everything that have accomplished just through sheer will of wanting to see it happen. Not talent. I'm not like, I didn't wake up and was great at playing instruments or DJing. It didn't just happen, or even being a surgeon. I didn't just happen. I don't ever think that I was ever born with a particular ease in doing anything, but I wanted to do it, so I did it. Like, I don't even know music. I don't know music theory. Like, I don't know any of that. I don't really care to either. I mean, I would. It's fine. It's not that I don't want to, but yeah, I like it all being magic. So I'm like, oh, the white key, the black key, the black key. The black key and the white key. That's another chord. Oh, okay. I'll write that one down. I don't know what it's called. Sounds good, though.
Wow. So you don't know music theory. That's awesome. No. So you, like, just do it.
I can play guitar. Like, that's it.
Okay.
I can, the one thing, and I write pop music. Like, I write pop songs. In Skeleton Lipstick often has or Lipstick Elite has clearly defined pop structures in it occasionally, and I don't know what chords I'm playing. I don't care. Like, I don't know what they are on the piano. I know what they are on a guitar. I know, like, and I can, but that's like the nice thing is, like, I can map out what sounds correct for a chorus, what sounds correct. It's more important to learn how to write a song than it is to learn what the fuck you're doing on an instrument. It doesn't matter. What matters is listening to songs you like, actively listening to music you like, and thinking about what they did to make it sound like that, and then playing. Playing around. It's more magic that way anyway. The best thing to do, honestly, the best thing I ever did in my life, I don't care if it sounds cliche or is not popular, was like, I took my guitar, I learned how to play every Beatles song. And after I learned how to play every Beatles song and listen to their melodies and how they sang and like what they did and what was hook and like how one thing led to another, after I worked through those songs, I was like, oh, I can write music now. It's just that easy. Now I know how to do it. And then I was like, I don't care what instrument it is now. Like, I learned melodies. I learned how to write music. I can do maybe any genre now at this point. I felt like I could. I don't know what it is about it, but like, and I'm not the only person who thinks this way. Talk to a lot of other music. Talk to Death Dynamic. Talk to James Ortek, where a lot of these people, they'll tell you the same thing. They're like, yeah, man, it's a game changer when you start learning how to when you start studying music rather than studying theory. You study songs. And whenever I write a song, the trick is after I write it, I put it in a playlist. And in that playlist are a couple songs by artists who I admire and kind of maybe want to sound like a little bit in front and behind my song. And if my song comes on after one of those songs, like if I have like a Neon Indian song and then my song comes on after it and there's like a tremendous drop in quality, then I got to go back to the drawing board and fix something, whether it be the actual way I wrote the song or the way I produced it.
That is
and that's the best advice I can give to somebody.
So you like play a song that you're trying to sound like, or just like you just play
that has the essence that might have inspired me. Wow. Well, no, like I'll put like a band on that, like for this particular song I was thinking of in my mind maybe, and it's never it's like if I'd like to be in a playlist with this song, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like this song feels like if there was a vibe for a playlist and this was the vibe, like I want, like my song wouldn't throw the vibe off, you know what I mean?
Wow, that is so cool. Like I've spoken to a few people now about like song creation and like where they start, and that's awesome. That's interesting that you do that you play a song and then you play what you're creating and see if it
If I was on a playlist and someone gave you a compilation CD, right? And that compilation CD had like a bunch of artists that I was influenced by on it, from various different sounds or whatever, and then my song came on. If the quality drops significantly, then that means I got to go back and fix it. You know what I mean? That's how I think about it in my head.
Anyone making music, take notes. That's cool.
Oh boy.
I like that.
Thank you.
It's unique. All right. So Hot Takes Vapor. Isaac.
I know who it is.
I want to know Dr. Chris's favorite shoegaze song.
Oh, anything probably on Souvlaki by Slow Dive. Pretty much almost anything by Souvlaki on Slow Dive.
It can take a minute.
I think which one I like best. Oh yeah. Souvlaki Space Station, actually, that's the one I really love on that album a lot. I mean, I love the whole album, but Souvlaki Space Station is actually, I think, I don't know, I can put it on at any time. My slow dive. Yes, next.
So Zodicus Karamazov never said this.
Oh, what's up, man?
What's
up, dude? Good man.
Scrams band.
Oh, my favorite Scrams band?
Yeah.
Ooh. Let me think about that, because like my first Page 99 probably. Reversal of Man is is also up there as well. Hot Cross's first album, first EP, I guess, A New Set of Lungs, is like one of my absolute favorite albums. Also, You and I, obviously. Oh, there's a band called what's the song called? That's right. I Am the Resurrection. That's right. That's there. I Am the Resurrection. And they have a song called Splice Film Smiles, which is like one of my favorite songs ever. That whole album is great. They only released one record though, I believe. And also Yage by AGE. They are always a really good one as well.
That's awesome. Okay. I'm looking for more questions. Oh. ENTJ much? I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, who said that?
Hot Takes Vapor, so Isaac.
Oh, that's Isaac. Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'm all the way to. I can't. Sorry.
What's the question?
My brain melts. Okay, you more of a slow dive or MVV guy?
MVV. But I do love that Slow Dive album. It's still even though the Slow Dive album might be one of my favorites. Overall, MVV though.
Awesome. Favorite dubstep DJ producer?
Was that in Rail?
That was in Rail, yeah.
Maybe RL Grime. I like Nightmare a lot actually. Also does. I'm not sure if he's like considered like a straight up dubstep producer, but probably guess RL Grime or Nightmare.
Do you like dubstep? Or I mean, like, do you?
Do I listen to it a lot?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Oh, there's always something. I really love it live at festivals. There's really nothing else like it at a festival. At like a live festival, an outdoor live festival with all the kids around dancing. Like that's like kind of a fun. That's really like you can't capture that really. So I don't actually listen to it a lot though, just chilling. But like at festivals, I'm really kind of all about it, and I do listen to it. Certain songs when I'm trying to learn how they do something. If I'm like for production techniques and for like just for my overall interest, like if I might try and listen to something they're doing and try and figure out how they did it, but then also try and figure out how to do my version of it, because clearly a Skeleton Lipstick version of something like this is going to not sound like that at all. It's not going to sound like it at all. But maybe there's some little things that they do that I learned. I didn't do a lot of modulation with things like LFO Tool, by Xfer until I started being like, it's time to learn how to use concepts these artists do, but put it into my music. And like to the point where like I'm doing the same similar things to them, although it doesn't sound anything like it, like at all. But it's like maybe there's certain programming that's happening underneath a surface level. So yeah, absolutely. I like dubstep. Yeah, it's great. It's fun.
Yeah, Nathan loves dubstep.
I don't love it as much as Nathan does. Nobody does though, I think. As much as Nathan does. He's the biggest fan. And that's great. And that's why I love that he makes vaporwave music, because you really, really, really want the energy of someone like Nathan making music and combining it with vaporwave. I just love how fascinating the tastes run in this scene. It's so cool. Like I love that. But yeah, I listen to everything for the most part. And I really mean that when I say that. Like I really listen to a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
particularly if it's new. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question. Are you invited to George and Lindsay's wedding?
Well, I don't know. Did they set a date?
No, I don't don't think
I don't
anyone
know.
would know.
I don't have it in.
Oh, okay. So there's no insight on it.
I don't know if they set a date, but also
I wouldn't know.
I'm not gonna.
Set
I've been
anything.
friends with George and Lindsay for a very long time, but I also understand that weddings are really expensive. So if the wedding happens, and like trust me, I don't never put pressure on somebody because this is there's family members. You know what I mean? There's family members. There's all kinds of stuff. So no. So even if I didn't get an invite, I don't think it would mean anybody loves me any less.
Yeah, of course. All right.
But I actually don't think they set a date yet anyway. So
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I was just wondering because I know they're getting married, but
Yes.
I know you guys are good friends.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
DS2 500 asks, what do you do when you feel stuck in the creative process? Any tips for getting ideas flowing, or what do you do to get back on track?
I watch a movie. I go and I start looking for a really odd cult film, and I track it down and I watch it on a streaming service or online, and I try to get lost in the visuals or the strange storytelling of that. I just recently, had a little mental block, so I discovered a movie called Space is the Place, which is a movie from the 70s. It's an Afrofuturism movie where Sun Ra travels to an intergalactic mission in between a concert date. So, I do that. I go find another inspiring, strange piece of art to lose myself in, or just start looking at a bunch of different. We used to have, back in the day, I would just go on Tumblr and just go through all the different images on Tumblr, and I would just be like, "Whoa, man! I'm hearing music in my mind now. I'm just going through and looking at all these strange visuals or stories that's being told through either a film or a picture."
Well, yeah, I love movies. I would love to talk to you about your favorite movies and film and all that. I want to dive more into out there movies. Personally.
Yeah, I only watch out there movies for the most part these days.
Yeah, that's cool. That's unique.
I can help with that. We can talk another time. I'll put a list.
Awesome. Okay, Torch asks, Torch 2020, 2424.
Oh, I love you, Groovy
aka
Kaiju.
Groovy, yes.
Mhm.
Since you've been around in Vaporwave for a long time, how have you think Vaporwave has changed since you started? And where do you think it will go from here? And are you happy where you think it is headed?
Okay. So, once again, what has changed about it? Well, what has changed about it certainly is that people are just doing a lot more with the media for it. I remember, so the way it first started was that we were all sort of trying to get recognition from different blogs. Back in the early 2010s, blogs were a really big thing. So a lot of people we were all sending our EPs and with our little press kits that we would write up to different blogs. And in addition to that, we would all always probably make a music video too. We all used to make music videos back then too on YouTube. And so we'd also put a link for the music video because we saw blogs would post music videos. So maybe they wouldn't post your song, but they'll post your music video. So you would have to do all these things and you'd write a lot. And you'd be no, listen, I've been reading your blog for a long time. And so it was a lot of work. And then you just hope somebody would write about you because otherwise no one was going to hear your music. And then we all started huddling around the Facebook groups, the ones that were initially focused on chillwave and hypnagogic pop, etc. And so we were just sort of carving out something. But now Vaporwave is its own media. You know what I mean? It's its own thing now. Whereas before, everyone was just struggling for some kind of recognition, somebody to talk about you instead of the war on drugs for the 45th time. But now you don't need to do that anymore. There's an audience now. There's a world. Everything's a thing. There weren't specifically only vaporwave labels yet. Atlantis was the first one, really. And then eventually, obviously, Lux came along, Fortune 500, and then Keats Collective started shifting a little bit. And instead of just releasing stuff that kind of sounded like Prefuse 73, they started releasing stuff that sounded like Ryan. And things slowly, and then of course a big label that came along, in my opinion, was Keats Collective, and Keats Collective was actually released the original Lipstick Elite's music songs and a bunch of other stuff by artists like Venture X And like things were starting to become a thing. And the thing that's changed is now there's a lot of vaporwave record labels, then Business Casual came along and they had the idea of releasing an album. John had the idea, which I thought was like a very bold move, was to release albums every week. And I didn't realize what he did at the time, but what he did was he flooded the internet with vaporwave. And then, there's a bunch of people started their own stuff. And so we are the media now. We have this interview show. We have we have George with all of his streams. We have all the live streams that everybody else does. We have Ron with Vaporspace St. Louis doing things. We have Pacific Plaza and all the different arms of things that they do and put out and sponsor. We have Picari Sweat. We have we have Pad Shennington, of course. We have Pad Shennington. I think that man revolutionized the game. He really legitimized it, I think, in my opinion. And legitimize the media. The media's been legitimized, and now you can probably, you don't need to keep reaching out to, the indie mainstream for help, because they didn't even like us anyway. They rejected all our demos. We started these record labels because we were like, well, maybe Hippos and the Tanks will put out our album. Maybe Jaguar will listen to us, and they fucking rejected us all. The exception of with the exception of Ryan, who got a really good manager to help him get some, get an interview with Ghostly, and then also with a Mexican Summer. So we started our own thing, and now that thing that was started has grown into a big thing. And what's going to happen next? I think I mentioned that there might be some bassier vaporwave coming, but also I think that there might be more live stuff coming. And I mentioned this earlier. And also I think that it will continue to become an alternative to the mainstream, and hopefully a big alternative to the mainstream in the same way that the indie bands did. And what do I like it? Do I like where it's going? Yes, I like where it's going because it stayed in the hands of the people who created it and love it, and 10 years later continues to do that. All the media, all the movies, all the labels, all the shows are being sponsored by vaporwave people, and that's pretty amazing. That's not being sponsored by somebody else. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's awesome. I love what makes me so excited about your podcast with Isaac is your mind. You and Isaac's mind. You guys just have so much to say and so much knowledge about music and this genre.
R.I.P. Baron. That's right about Hippos and the Tanks. I forgot about that, Lux. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Thank you so much. That was. You are so nice to me. I really appreciate it, and to Isaac as well.
Well, I fucking love you guys.
Wow.
I fucking love
we
Isaac.
Love you too. Isaac's awesome.
Me and Isaac are fucking friends. We talk in Rosewood all the time. I
love
him
fun.
and I want to support him so much because he supports
me.
So fun. I love that guy. And I love you because you have also supported me, and I think you're just amazing.
You were amazing. Thank you.
I'll say it again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have any weird preparations before you're on a live stream or you're live? How do you hype yourself up for it?
How do I hype myself up for it?
Yeah, do you jump a lot to get your heart racing or?
Yeah, no, I do. I listen to, I go through my set a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. I make sure I'm vibing with it. I make sure that if I heard it several times, I would still be vibing with it. And it's so long as the vibe is consistent, as long as I don't lose energy, if I can think about what I've done or listen to what I've done several times in a row and I don't lose the energy, then then I know, then that's what I do. Then I'm still excited to do it. And I just continue to build up the excitement in doing it because I'm thinking about it in my mind and I'm ready to dance. I'm ready to jump around at that point.
Yeah, I have to hype myself for this. I'm okay, I can't even talk to anyone. I can.
Really? You're such a good interviewer. You're doing an excellent job. You do an excellent job with all the interviews you do. Outstanding work.
Thank you. I'm trying so hard. I'm actually
You're not trying, you're succeeding. Great work.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
That means a lot. But
yes, absolutely.
I have to hype myself up. One day I hung out with my friends before I did a podcast and I felt like my mind was elsewhere. So that's how, I don't hang out on Sundays anymore because
I can't do Sundays either. I can't
Yeah.
hang out on Sundays.
Yeah, it's like that's my weird preparation is like kind of not being involved in the world so I can mentally process what I'm going to be saying at that night.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's cool. I know you like you drink like coffee and stuff. Is that part of the preparation? Like or anything?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Absolutely. I drink a lot of caffeine before the preparation, whether it be the live streams or the live show. Like the Terminally Chill parties are like I am on edge so hard until they get started because there's so much. There's a lot of moving parts that go into those. Because I have Blake, aka Pixelator, who's my live visualist, who does outstanding work. I got to make sure that his projections are ready. I have to help him with that. I got the virtual guys to make sure that they don't need any help setting up what they're doing. I have girls come and they decorate the Barbary in flowers, like all over the place. So like they got to make sure that they're doing their thing. I have to make sure that the equipment is working properly, that all the stereos are there, that the decks themselves aren't broken or corrupted. And the problem, and also like not a lot of people know how to use the CDJs. So oftentimes they bring their controllers, and I have to now hook those controllers into the main mixer and make sure those are working. A lot of times the volumes are off. And so there's just like a lot of things. And like, if you're doing a live performance, like a straightforward live performance for, that bands do for either 30 to an hour and 10 minutes, and they stop between songs, etc. There's a little bit of forgiveness if something goes wrong with that. But if something goes wrong at a party, everyone's like, you had one job. Don't stop the music. Make sure this looks good. And like, there's a lot. People notice it a lot more if something goes wrong at a party. And if something goes wrong at a concert, we're like, the band had a mistake. Let them reset up. Let him fix his guitar string. But if something fucks up at a party, people are like, what? They're like incredulous. So I'm like on hyper edge up until like the first half hour of Terminally Chill gets good. Once the first half hour is over, I feel a little bit better. Yeah, I'm drinking a lot of caffeine, but I'm like meticulous. Like, if my partner Wendy is at one of the Terminally Chills and like she tries to touch me, I'm like, dude, do not touch me right now.
I know how
like,
you feel.
I can't be touched right now.
Yeah, if I'm in charge of
I
something,
can't be
I'm
touched
like,
right now.
Yeah, I totally know that. Yeah, I'm like, please don't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm controlling this thing right now, and if I get sidetracked, I'm gonna die.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm gonna die. Yeah, no, everything's gonna fall apart. Like I'm gonna miss something. If I get sidetracked, I'm gonna miss something, and then I'm gonna look like an idiot. Like
Yeah.
I'm very tough on myself. I'm very, very tough on myself when I do anything, no matter how small it is. It could be the smallest live stream set ever. But I need to make sure it is like it could be for the biggest audience or the smallest audience. Every time I make something with the idea that a lot of people could maybe hear it. A lot of people could, and I try everything I do. I try and think about. I try and make it as if it's going to be played for the entire world.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
My favorite jewel pod is Virginia Tobacco in Rail.
cool.
No, he's still on the mess then.
What's your favorite coffee roast?
A coffee roast, no Genki. What's up, man? How you doing? Good to talk to you, buddy. I don't know. I'm hazelnut. I don't know a lot about coffee. Honestly, I don't know a lot about these things. I don't know. I don't have like favorite liquors or favorite coffees or favorite beers. I don't have that. I don't think about things that much. But if someone has some suggestions, I'd love to try them.
I love Cuban coffee.
Cuban coffee? Cuban coffee's great. I love cafe
So
con leche.
nice.
It's delicious. Though if that's a roaster option, then that's one of my favorite coffee as well. That or Vietnamese coffee is really good.
Yeah. Well, I'm Cuban, so that's why.
You're Cuban?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I didn't know that.
I'm Cuban and Dominican.
Oh.
Yeah.
My ex-wife was Cuban.
No way.
Hey, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And I picked up no Spanish somehow. Like that's the thing that kills me.
I didn't either.
Oh, I don't feel bad anymore. Great.
My mom is from, she was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, she migrated to New York like somewhere, I don't know, like sometime in her youth. And same with my dad. He's from Cuba, and
Wow.
they speak fluent Spanish. But
Oh,
when
fun.
I was younger, I was like, I'm American. Why do I have to learn this language?
Oh, that's so funny. And they let you get away with it, huh?
Yeah, but like my parents, I feel like since my older siblings knew Spanish, it was like they probably just got like lazier and didn't want to. They didn't enforce it.
Yeah, I've seen that before with
Yeah.
a lot of kids, where like the youngest kids don't really know the language as much as the first ones do. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not alone. All right, but also I don't feel as bad now, so we're good.
Okay. Anyways, Enrail asks, who's your dream artist to collab with?
My dream artist to collab with? Well, to tell you the truth, my dream artist to collab with, I mean, the easiest answer to say is Molo360 Point Ever, right? Like that's like the easiest answer I could possibly. That's
Really?
like that or Tobacco. If there was ever a way for me to collaborate with either Molo360 Point Ever or Tobacco, I mean, I can't. Those are such big influences on music for me. There's such huge influences to me. They just showed me new ways to listen to music, and yeah, like that would be the dream collab. Like I don't think that could happen, but I don't even collab that much because I'm not very good at it. Apparently, I usually just, I feel like I'm a kid who plays by himself with the toys. Like even when I collab with artists, they're just kind enough to let me borrow their toys. I really I honestly like Lux was the easiest person for me to collab with, and I try like there's like a lot of people. I did just. I do have a remix though coming out with a Super Flat soon. I just remixed a Super Flat song, and so that'll be out soon. So that's kind of a collaboration. He sent me the stems, and I reorganized them into a new song, and he loves it, and I love it. And I just got that mastered also by World of Echo Doom Trip. He did the mastering for that, and that song is hot. I played it on George's stream on New Year's Eve, and it's a hot track, man. That song hits different. I can't wait to really release it. But me and Superflat will be releasing that soon. I love Superflat. I think he's one of the most outstanding, fun producers out there. And that was another dream collab. I really wanted to work with him, and I really love collaborating with artists who are across the spectrum of the vaporwave world. So it's really fun that I love the fact that I can collaborate with an R23X one moment, and then also with a Super Flat the next moment, because they're both very different sounds, right?
Mm-hmm. How was your experience with R23X like as a person? Because I'm asking because I
love him.
think he is such a nice character. Is he actually?
He's so nice. He's so polite. Mark is so
like
fun
it.
and so knowledgeable. And I love the way that he just thinks about music, and I love the way that his mind works in general. And I am a huge fan of the kind of textures that's why I really wanted to collaborate with him, because I was just such a big fan of the textures that he makes in his music. And it's very quiet and it's very pensive, and it doesn't demand your attention. It just sort of creeps up on you. And like I love it, and I always like listen to him. Like, all right, I was like checking him out because like I think he's fucking outstanding. So it was so fun. So when I collaborated with him, I was like, I'd like to take some textures that you use, and I think the remixes that are usually done for you are, or the times when you collaborate with people, it's a nice matching of the energy, and it sounds like what you might expect it to sound like, which is perfect, right? But I'm all about taking something and maybe taking something and making it sound like what you don't expect it to sound like. So I was really excited to work with Mark's textures and produce this sort of bouncy, hypnagogic bass track, but to use those textures that he has because they're just so powerful to me.
I have a question.
Mark's the best. He's
best.
awesome.
True. Okay. Who do you want on Terminally Chill, and like people who haven't been on Terminally Chill?
In Rail.
Ooh. Yes.
I'd love to have Lux. That would be great.
Yes.
As for, I'd love to have everybody who's in the chat right now. They would all be, everyone in the chat right now is like pretty much somebody I would love to have at Terminally Chill. Like I'm scrolling through the chat and I'm like looking at like pop culture and Lux and Pacific Plaza and Isaac and like there's like a DS dude, just like pretty much like everybody in the chat right now is somebody I would like at Term. But as for people who are not in the chat right now, who I'd like to have Eternally Chill. Well, Super Flat is the first name that comes into my head immediately. I would love to have. He is a DJ, and he's an excellent DJ over in Mexico. And like you can tell listening to his music that he's someone who knows how to make dance music for a crowd. You know, sometimes people make dance music and they don't exactly know how to make it for an audience. Even though it's dance music, doesn't mean it's dance party music sometimes. But like that man, like he knows how to create a vibe for a crowd. I know he would be a great person to have Eternally Chill. I would really love Lola Disco. Is probably would be really fun, but I have no idea how to get in contact with them. I actually don't know them. I know a lot of people, and that's not one of them. Who else would I really like at Terminally Chill? And pretty much like everybody. I mean, Superfly is the main one though. I think he would do great. I'd love to have Christ, honestly. I gotta talk to John again. I'd like to have John because John did this dance. No, he did like this one set for I don't remember what it was for. It might have been for Pacific Plaza, and it was like sort of like this like funky outsider dance music, and it was like this funky music that was really like sort of chunky and broken down, like very Com Truzy or VHS headish a lot. The music he was playing, and I'd really love to have him do a DJ set of this kind of odd dance music, odd dance music that he picked. It was really great. So I like to have him too.
He's awesome. I know that he
he's the best.
Yeah.
He has the best. He is the what?
No, you go ahead.
He's what?
You go ahead. It's fine.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say
what he does.
He doesn't really. So he said once that he doesn't really like performing live. So like being at an econ. And performing was like, it's probably like 1 in a million times that he's gonna do it.
I think there's a big difference between performing and doing these DJ sets where you play the music that inspires you and pumps you up. You know what I mean? It hits different. Speaking as someone who's done both, it hits different. So I think he's totally would do it. I think he would totally do it. I think so. I have faith. I think he would. I think John would do it, and it's a great time. And I would love to have him.
I feel like, but
he's the greatest curator in the vaporwave scene. He is and yes, he is in Pittsburgh. He is the greatest curator in the vaporwave scene. There's not a time where he has released something for business casual that I haven't put on and been like, holy fuck, that's unique. Like, oh man, like he gets a lot of submissions. I bet. I can't even imagine. And like, man picks the best stuff. And I hope people give him credit. Like, I'm sure he does. But like, I think that it's worth saying again that like the shit he picks, it's eclectic and it's like, bam, it's like a guaranteed good, interesting time. Everything he picks on that record label, and like I'm constantly, and it's like across genres. It can be ambient, it can be pop music, it can be it can be experimental, it can be future funk, and like John picks like the best of the best, man, for that record label. It's crazy.
And he is super down to earth. He was literally he joined the Death Dynamic fan club, and he was in chat. Talking to everybody. That's super cool. I always find that interesting and awesome when someone,
He's very self-depreciative. I feel like the worst thing, every time I give him a compliment, like I annoy him.
That's fine.
I love him.
I feel like he's an edgelord somewhat. Okay, hope he doesn't kill me for that. But anyways,
he's great. He's great.
We're at the end here. Do you want to promote anything right now?
Sure. Okay. Glows the Melts is currently in its release on vinyl, and you can do a pre-order for that now at Needle Juice Records. There is a glow variant, which is a vinyl with a red splatter and a glow in the dark. I'm sorry. There's the melt variant, which is the blood splatter, and a glow variant which glows in the dark, and that's available for pre-order on needlejuice.bandcamp.com. And then also I have a new single called Skelly Smoochums, which will probably be coming out next week, which is some very woozy Cheshire Cat sort of vibes to it. So Cashmere Cat sort of vibes to it. So that's a lot of fun. And I have Vapor Priestess is doing some of the art for that, and Roll of Echo from Doom Trip who mastered it. So that's coming out maybe next week. And then in February, the remix of the super flat song We the People is coming out that I did, and that'll be out in February. And that's a hit. That's going to be a lot of fun. You guys are going to love the Skelly Smoochum songs, and you might even love the song me and Superflat worked on together. You're going to even love that even more, maybe. And then I have the Hot Takes, obviously, podcast with Isaac, young Shiro. So, that's going to be coming up soon as well, where we'll discuss with the, some fun takes on music and maybe talk about some artists and talk to some artists and see what inspires them. So that's coming up. And then also, I don't know exactly when this is premiering, but there's, I think coming up in like a couple months or so, Villain, the outstanding record label Villain has another live stream coming up, and I've recorded a set for that as well. So that'll be coming. I don't know when that's coming up, but probably in the next 2 months, probably shortly after the Superflat remix comes out, that they'll be releasing that live stream. And in addition to that, there is a new album I'm working on. So I'm feeling like once all this stuff I just talked about first is kind of cleared and like the record has been started selling a little bit, then I will start work on mastering and putting out the next Skeleton Lipstick album. And yeah. And then in addition to that, there's like one other thing I'm working on, which is a sort of melodic ambient project, which is probably going to be called Sleep Sequence, which is just when I program a bunch of synthesizers and kind of let them play to create these little worlds. And I kind of have a bunch of songs of that finished. I actually sent some of them to Luxury Elite, and she said they were awesome. So that little compliment, I suppose, that I'll be putting out that project as well. So that'll probably be out in like March or April.
Awesome.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. That's a lot to expect, and that's awesome. Next week, I'm going to be doing a podcast with Keith. Giant Claw. Woo!
Oh, Keith Rankin?
Keith Rankin.
That's amazing. Oh, great. I played a show with Keith.
I fucking
back
love
in the day.
Keith. He's so freaking nice.
So he did the cover art for Luxury Elite and my Lipstick Elite album. So that artwork for that album was done by Keith Rankin. And yeah, I played shows with Keith, and great guy. Oh, I love Giant Claw.
Hell yeah.
That's so
Super
fun.
excited.
That's so fun. I can't believe Keith's going to be here next week. Wow.
Yeah. So next, clocks, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tune in for that, guys.
Tune in.
Damn.
Keith
That's
Rankin.
good.
Thank you so much, Skeleton Lipstick. Dr.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're
Thank
awesome.
you again.
I love you.
You're awesome. I feel like I didn't get to like half the things we wanted to talk about, but maybe another time. I know that I have so much to talk about with music and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. All
right.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining me today. Have a great night, and yeah.